Welcome back to another episode of Opinions in Dispute. It's your boy, Dongwook Kim. And today, I'm going to be previewing the Denmark against England semi-final of the Euro 2020 game. Yes, guys, this is a huge game. This is an absolutely huge game. England have to win it. We have to win it. It is about making history. It's about writing the story, fulfilling the destiny of 50 years of heartache for England. It is about breaking that cycle of heartache for England. And this is how I would line up against Denmark. So obviously Denmark, they're going to play that really expansive 3-4-3 formation, where they can transition from 3 in the back to 5 in the back. I think England should just go easy, 4-2-3-1, what we've been playing when all our players have been fit the entire tournament. This is the formation that we should go with. The 3 attackers, obviously, you can put Luke Shaw on one of them. I probably shouldn't spoil anything, but we should put the left back on obviously their right winger, 2 center backs to just roam that area, and our right back probably goes on their left winger. Obviously the two central midfield players can match up pretty well, and I think our diamond in attack will be essential in breaking down the very stingy defense of Denmark. This is how I would line up. Obviously in goal, I would go with Jordan Pickford, who is a very, very good keeper when he plays for England. Not the same story for him at Everton for some reason, but he is a very, very commanding, very, very good keeper when he plays for England. Centre backs, not going to change anything up here. Obviously, I'm going to go with John Stones and Harry Maguire, who've been... I still don't trust them. Still don't trust them fully, but they've been very, very good so far in this tournament. Left back, I'd go for the best left back in Europe right now. And that's not Kieran Trippier. It's not Ben Chilwell. It is Luke Shaw. And for all of you who say Kieran Trippier is a right back and didn't understand my joke, then you haven't been watching the Euros so far. So you just played yourself. All right, so right back, I think we should go with Kyle Walker. Now, I've been noted in the past saying I don't rate Kyle Walker, and I don't. But that game against Germany made me realize the value of Kyle Walker. He is the quickest defender on this team by a country mile. And if it wasn't for Kyle Walker, I think Declan Rice would have gotten a red card, which would have completely changed the game against Germany. And then obviously subsequent games, if we had even gotten through that game, which I don't think we would have if we were down to 10 men that early. Kyle Walker's recovery pace, I think, makes up for a lot of holes in this defense. And for a team that hasn't conceded at all in this tournament, they've conceded 0 goals, and they're in the semi-final, which is absolutely astonishing. I think Kyle Walker's recovery pace has a lot to do with that. And I think having Walker there, you could always push Shaw up into the middle of the park, which he likes to do. Or he likes to sort of get up this left-hand channel and change to a back 3 where you have the Maguire, Stones, and Walker, which Gareth Southgate likes to have in a back 3. So I think Kyle Walker is actually a very important player in the system, although I do think Reece James is a better player than him. I think having that Manchester United connection between Maguire and Shaw, which works perfectly, and having that Man City connection between Stones and Walker, which also works perfectly, it just creates an absolutely solid defense with a really good Pickford behind them to stop anything from he's basically the last man in front of the goal. CDMs, I would go with Declan Rice. And this is what I would go with, by the way, not what I think Southgate would do. I think I'd go with Declan Rice, and I would risk playing Jordan Henderson and that's because Henderson, he's such a leader. He's very progressive in his passing. He has improved a lot in that area of his game, and I think Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson is just a level above him. And I think having that leadership, I mean, Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson, both captains of Champions League level clubs. And I know people like to joke on West Ham, but this year they were really challenging for the Champions League. They were both the captain of their respective clubs. And I think just look at that midfield. Absolutely full of leadership, has the defensive capabilities, has the ability to progress the ball forwards. I think that midfield can be absolutely spectacular. And I think if you put Henderson and Rice, they would be able to absolutely boss Witsel and Delaney. No, not Witsel. I'm going crazy. Witsel plays for Belgium. Delaney and Højbjerg for Denmark. I think Henderson and Rice would be that's probably the best two midfielders in the world. And I don't care what you say. Pogba, Kante, whatever. You know, Pogba, what? Pogba, Kante, what? Where are they? They're watching England from their couch. Exactly, because Pogba not as good defensively. Kante not as good as offensive, not as good going forward. Henderson and Rice provide that double pivot that England have been wanting for years. And I think Declan Rice is so important to this team. And I also think Jordan Henderson is so important to this team. So I would play Henderson and Rice, even if I think Southgate would probably go for Calvin Phillips instead of Jordan Henderson. Number 10, I would go with Mason Mount. I'd go with Mason Mount. He's been absolutely spectacular this season, and I think he's a great number 10. Works really well with Declan Rice. I think has that understanding of movement, has the exceptional understanding of space, which I've seen time and time again play out for Chelsea. So I think Declan Rice and Mason Mount and Jordan Henderson, that midfield is it's World Cup winning. It's one of probably the best in the world. Right wing, I'm a surprise actually striker. Let's go striker first. Obviously, I'm going to go with Harry Kane. Scored a brace against Ukraine, is on form now after scoring 3 goals in his last 2 games. Harry Kane plays up top for England. He's the captain. He's the talisman to lead the line. Harry Kane up top. Left mid, I'm going to go with Jack Grealish. You just look at what he did in the games against Ukraine. Actually, it didn't come on against Ukraine, sorry. The game against Czech Republic and the game against Germany. As soon as he came on, that England attack, which looked stagnant, which looked deflated, suddenly had energy, suddenly had a boost. Jack Grealish adds all of that energy and that creativity that's been missing from this England attack. Because while Mason Mount is very good in running into open areas and creating space, I don't think he's really much of a dynamic playmaker at this point. I think he can be that person, but he's not really a Kevin De Bruyne or a Bruno Fernandes at this point. And I think Jack Grealish creating off that left-hand side in this sort of area with Luke Shaw potentially overlapping or underlapping. You saw that connection against Germany. You saw that connection against Czech Republic. Absolutely a dominant on that left-hand side. If we do play Grealish and Luke Shaw. Right mid, this is going to be very controversial. I don't think it should be. Raheem Sterling. He has been undroppable at this point. He's been undroppable. Sterling's getting into those correct areas, and I think Mason Mount has actually been essential to Sterling's success because Mount runs into these sort of areas. And if you look at Mason Mount's heat map, it's it's not very central, which is what you'd expect from a number 10. He likes to drift into this sort of area or this sort of area. And what that allows a player like Sterling to do, who wants to get to the outside and then cut in, is if Sterling's, way up here, it allows Mason Mount to sort of drift in this area and create an overload with Rice, Sterling, Kane, Walker in this area. It allows him to create that overload. If they're going on to the left-hand side, Grealish and Kane are, to be honest, they're fine by themselves, but Mason Mount could also drift into this sort of area to create another overload. Because looking at England's heat map, I think this area that Kane's head is in right now, it's called Area 19. It's where most of the creativity and goals happen. England have only gotten into that area 8 times throughout the entire tournament. And you think, oh, that's abysmal. But what England do so well is work down these channels and these channels. They don't really get into Area 19, this sort of D outside the box area, because they've never had to. And people want to put that on Mason Mount, but I wouldn't say that's Mason Mount's fault. He has been moving here, all around this area to try and create overloads so they can get the cross into Harry Kane or Raheem Sterling in the box. And I think Mason Mount's ability to drift on the inside, maybe to the halfway line, if Henderson's pushing, or if Calvin Phillips is pushing, or if Sterling's way up here and then trying to cut inside, Mason Mount just provides that solidity. And I think Mason Mount is very important. And I do not want to see any criticism of him based on people saying, oh, he basically plays as a left winger, he has no positional awareness. Completely wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Mason Mount's positional awareness is absolutely sublime. And you just see it from him drifting into open areas where he can create overloads, or he can support open, or he can support the defense and perhaps create an opportunity by drifting into an open space. And Mason Mount, one thing I have to say about him is great understanding of space. Like I said, I think that team can win the final and the World Cup. That team can beat Italy easily, and that team can win the World Cup easily. Southgate, pick that team, pick Jack Grealish. I don't know what it is with Gareth Southgate. Why do you love players like Saka? Rashford's not fit, so you can't play him. He needs surgery. I don't even know why he's at this tournament. I love Marcus Rashford, but he needs surgery. He's going to get surgery after the Euros, which makes no sense to me. If you've broken your bone and you've scheduled a surgery, why would you go out and play more football before you have the surgery? It makes no sense. So he's not going to play Rashford. Phil Foden and Bukayo Saka, yeah, they're good, but they're not Jack Grealish. Grealish is probably the third best player in this third most important player in this England squad, behind Kane, and actually he's the fourth most important, because we have some cover there, behind Kane, Rice, and Luke Shaw. Because Luke Shaw is leaps and bounds ahead of Chilwell and Trippier. Declan Rice is leaps and bounds ahead of. He's basically the only number 6 England has, and Harry Kane is leaps and bounds at this point ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I think this team, if we field this team, we can create overloads. Henderson, Grealish, Luke Shaw, cutting into these areas. Sterling in this area and willing to cut in, or Sterling doesn't whip many crosses in, which is very frustrating. But if we are attacking down the left-hand side mostly, you can get Kane in this sort of area and Sterling in this sort of area, which we saw against Czech Republic and Germany. We can get Declan Rice to shield the back 4, Mason Mount, being all over the pitch, creating havoc for the opposition, for Delaney and Højbjerg. Henderson gonna provide that solidity, gonna provide that engine, which Calvin Phillips has, but I think Henderson also has the ability to progress the ball forward to people, like Mason Mount, like Sterling, like Grealish, to Kane. I think this team can win the Euros, can beat Italy, can sweep aside Denmark. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd make any changes. Personally, I don't think Southgate will start this team. I think he'll start Phil Foden, Saka, and Calvin Phillips in the place of Grealish and Henderson, respectively. But Southgate, pick this team. Don't be a bottle job. Let's go. It's coming home. In Southgate, we trust. Southgate, ironically, is heading north. He's going up. Come on, England. See you all next time.